Amid hardship and suffering of the Japanese occupation, people fell in love, married, and had children. Celebrations were scaled down, but life had to go on.
好瘦啊！你睇瘦到咁樣。我係姓林啦，個名叫玉英，92歲。打仗嗰時咧，航空號，你個個咧就嗰啲報警響咧，就個個都匿入航空號啦，有沙包有成咁嘅，係一間屋個廚房起一個航空號，就好多人喺度入邊咯。打仗就驚咯，航空號嗰啲沙包，咁就逼到個個驚，有啲又喊咯，啲細蚊仔就呱呱叫就有咯。咁嗰時認識嘅，咁佢嗰時又啱廠個隔離啦。
我初時間咧喺嗰個防空號度見到佢之後咧，咁啊傾幾句，覺得咧好投機。
有時又去嗰啲海邊嗰度行下街啊咁咯，或者偷偷就走去睇大戲啊咁咯，好平啊嘛，2角半、4角半咁樣頭頂位啊，貴啲咯。嗰時好多戲院嘛，嗰時冇麗的呼聲又冇嗰啲電視機係咪？就中意睇戲兩個鐘頭咯。
結婚同你阿媽講，你阿媽講得冇問題。佢話對我咧要有孝心，生養死葬。我話得啦，我答應你咯，又冇所謂噶啦，係咪？啊
！If you were a guest at a wedding, it would have been customary for you to bring along something for the wedding lunch. Dinners were very uncommon because one, there was not a lot of lighting. Two, the Japanese didn't really like you to be around at night. So most celebrations, what little there was of it, would have been in the daytime, in the form of lunch or tea. And they would have been quite small scale. So people would share what they had for, say, a wedding, or they would save up in order to be able to cook a good lunch for their friends and relatives.
Nama nenek Ria binti Sadi. Jadi nenek masa itu nenek lagi dalam umur 11 tahun gitulah, belum terlalu besar lah. Dalam majlis tu okeylah, tak ada macam banyak-banyak sederhana lah. Tapi untuk yang nak kasih makan tu ubi jugalah. Ubi juga tu bukan kita pasak tu. Dimasak gitu kan. Habis dikukus, itu kasih makan orang lah. Taruh seronding. Itu dikasih makan. Itulah jamuan, bikin jamuan. Kari tu yang dimasak kari apa ikan cekik leher, dikopek buang tulangnya. Itu dimasak dalca. Nasi tu ada masak nasi minyak lah kononnya. Entah apa-apa minyak yang ditaruh tu, itulah yang dimasak bikin nasi minyak. Masa kasih makan jamuan orang lah. Tapi alhamdulillah orang makan juga lah, pasal dah lapar semua kan.
拜下祖先，拜下天神咁就算啦，好簡單，好簡單啊！冇就係嗰啲幾個親屬咁一齊食下飯啫，完全冇咩請人咯。即係雞啊、鴨啊、嗰啲燒肉啊咁嗰啲雜菜啊咁啫啦，冬菇啊嗰啲冇咩啦，自己人嘛係咪？嗰啲簡單嘅事都兵荒馬亂係咪？今次咁就個簡單。
好好地咁樣，大家快樂咧過咗呢70年。
So families would try to support each other during these celebrations, whatever there was. So they would have got together to try to prepare things that were special to their family.
People really help one another. You see, in Bukit Timah, while we were staying there, we were staying in a row of terrace houses. So we were all close together. Then one of the neighbors one day got this pig, small baby pig, and brought it home. Then he said, he suggested to all the neighbors why don't we share the pig? If you provide the food for the pig, the leftovers, then when the pig is a bit bigger, then we share the pig. So that's what happened, you see. Every day we go look at the pig. And we bring our leftovers, whatever, I mean, hardly any leftovers. For goodness sake, we needed the food ourselves, but we kept a little bit leftovers for the pig. And so we feed the pig and go and watch the pig and watch him growing and getting bigger and bigger. And so finally, I think it must have been Christmas or something, big festival, they killed the pig and shared.
Everybody had ration cards. And so if you wanted, say, to make yourself a dress for your wedding, you would save your ration card. You got an X number of ration for say, textiles. You would save that, and then you would go and get the rations, or you would exchange something, your rations, in exchange for something else that you needed. And so ration cards became tradable.
Apa yang ada kita masak. Tapi dulu kita pelihara ayam, potong aja ayam. Gitulah. Kalau untuk hari raya. Ada rendang pasal kita ada yang kata orang yang mampu beli beras. Semua ada lah. Macam biasalah. Gitu. Ada yang kadang beli tepung, kadang yang bikin lah. Tapi semua tak ada yang beli lah. Semua kita bikin lah. Alhamdulillah lah kalau hari raya. Adalah, macam tak kosong sangat lah. Hari raya tu ada.
My name is Baba V. Jolly, and I was born in 1928, 4th of April. During the Japanese time, there's no festival for us. Every day is a festival to us. Because the food which we cook is always the daily food every time. It's only a matter of, from the small fish, you can buy chicken and duck. That's during the festival. Besides that, we never take duck and chicken. We always eat fish, vegetable, and that's how we survive. If you want to buy every day chicken and duck, it costs you a lot of money. And we are satisfied of what we get. The most important why we are very lucky, when we buy simple food, we can create dishes. I can do wonders, even a small fish I can turn into a very good dish. Even a tapioca I can turn into good food.
Some of the things that they could have prepared for this would have been things that use local ingredients. For example, coconuts were very easily available. Even in the time of shortages, there were lots of coconut trees all over Singapore. And so you could just go and pluck yourself coconuts. With coconuts, you could use the milk to make kueh. You could use the milk to turn into oil. And the other common thing around was tapioca. So there are a number of traditional tapioca kuehs that use coconut milk and palm sugar, all available locally. Of course, there were shortages, but if you used a bit of ingenuity, you could produce some of these things for celebrations.
I'm Francesca Iba, a home economist by training, and very interested in food. According to my sisters, they ate a lot of coconut product. We also had coconut trees in the garden. The coconuts had to be first husked, and you use the husk for fuel, and then broken in half. If you had a horse grater was a bench with a metal grater on the end, jagged grater, and you would sit on this bench and grate the coconut.
Azab betul nak masak pun. Diparut pelan-pelan lah kan. Nenek macam nak nangis kalau kena parut kelapa. Pasal takut kena tangan. Kita kalau hari raya, dipotong tipis-tipis. Kita potong je, kita potong panjang, potong gitu. Nanti kita masak gula. Kasih tua gula tu, kita masukkan kelapa tu. Kita bikin kuih lah. Itu kelapa tu ya. Dan selain tu, kita masak lah. Semua masak apa-apa tu semua gunakan kelapa tu kan. Banyak kegunaan kelapa tu.
For our final episode, I'll be making 2 dishes using coconut. The first one, baked fish custards, is from the book Good Food by PCB Newington. The second, gula melaka blancmange, is from the Prisoner of War cookbook by ERM. So far in this series, we've been making dishes created by people who were inspired by their home cooking, their memories, and also their wartime experiences. Today's dish, baked fish custards, is no exception. This is very similar to an English recipe for deviled fish that was circulated in pamphlets during World War II, where the original version was made with white sauce and seasoned with mustard and cayenne pepper. The version we're cooking today is made with ingredients more familiar to our region, like coconut milk, fresh chili, curry powder, spices, and local fish. In fact, it's almost like otak-otak. The main ingredient is cooked flaked fish. Today we're using ikan parang, also known as wolf herring or saito yu. It's got a very, very sweet flesh, but it also has millions of bones, so it's quite a pain to peel, but it gives you the best flavor. Now, if you can't get hold of ikan parang, you could use cooked flake snapper or very fresh haddock or mackerel. I'm going to mix it with some breadcrumbs. We're using fresh breadcrumbs. Now I'm going to chop just a little sliced ginger and a couple of shallots and a couple cloves of garlic and some fresh chili. Now these are pretty big, so I'm just going to use 1 today. So I'm just going to chop everything together and then pound them to a paste. Okay, I'm going to transfer them to the pestle and mortar. Add a pinch of salt, not just for seasoning, but also to help break down the ingredients. I'm going to add a bit of curry powder and a pinch of sugar and just pound to incorporate them. Okay, that's the spice paste. To that, we're going to add some coconut milk and 2 eggs. And I'm going to whisk them all together. Now, you could bake this in dishes, but I'm going to use banana leaf cups today for a more Asian touch. I'll spoon the fish and breadcrumb mixture into each cup first. And now we're just going to pour the egg and spice paste and coconut milk mixture over the fish. I'll sprinkle a few more breadcrumbs on top. This will give a slightly crunchy topping. And then we'll just put a little bit of butter on top. And now we're going to bake them in a preheated oven at 170 degrees Celsius for about 20 to 30 minutes. As you can see, they're just set and just slightly puffed. As a final garnish, sprinkle them with julienne red chili. Baked fish custards. The second dish I'm going to make is gula melaka blancmange. Blancmange is a dish that dates back to medieval times when it was made with cow's milk or almond milk, and it was also flavored with sugar, spices, and sometimes even poultry or fish meat. In England, blancmange eventually developed into a dessert pudding. For this version, we're using coconut milk, mung bean flour, and gula melaka, also known as palm sugar. The dessert's smooth and creamy texture is the same as the original, but its flavor is decidedly Asian. So in this pot, I'm going to combine some water, gula melaka, a little bit of white sugar. If you use all gula melaka, the flavor may be a little bit too bittersweet. The white sugar helps to counteract that. And just a tiny pinch of salt to balance out all the sweetness. And I'm going to melt this over low heat. Meanwhile, while that's dissolving, I'm going to combine my mung bean flour and some thick coconut milk in a bowl. And I'm just going to whisk them together to make a paste. You have to stir until all the flour has dissolved and formed a thick, creamy paste. The gula melaka syrup is ready, so I'm just going to strain it into the mung bean flour mixture. And then I'll whisk those two together until everything is smooth. So now I have more coconut milk, thin coconut milk this time. And I'm going to bring that to a simmer. Okay, it's just under the boiling point, so now I'm going to whisk in the gula melaka mixture. The mixture should start to thicken quite quickly. Okay, it's thick enough now, so we're going to immediately pour it into the mold. Whatever kind of mold you use, be sure that it's spotlessly clean, and be sure to grease the inside with a tiny drop of oil. This is to help the blancmange turn out neatly and not break up. This needs to cool completely, after which we'll put it in the fridge and let it chill for at least 1 and preferably 2 to 3 hours to set completely. Finally, we'll garnish it with some freshly grated coconut and a drizzle of some extra gula melaka syrup. Gula melaka blancmange.
For many people, it was important to mark the occasions that were meaningful to them. What was there to celebrate? Life and hope. 6th of August, 1945. At 8:16 a.m., the first atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy, struck Hiroshima. 9th of August, 1945. At 11:15 a.m., the second atomic bomb, codenamed Fat Boy, fell on Nagasaki.
I'm going to preach you a sermon about old man Adam, and I don't mean Adam in the Bible datum. I don't mean Adam that Mother Eve mated, but I do mean atom that science liberated. You know, Einstein said he was scared. If Einstein was scared, I get scared. Green is not my natural complexion. Stop the world, I want to get off. Scared of the atom bomb? You got to get the people together with you, because if you don't get together and do it, well, one of these days, you'll be shot to bloody hell. That's no future for a growing boy. The moral of the sermon I'm trying to say is the atom bomb is here to stay. It's going to stay fixed, and that's plain to see. But oh, my dearly beloveds, are we? We get born and live and sometimes marry, and atom is a word in the dictionary. It's one of them 4-letter words they're always talking about. Some science boys from every clime got together and worked for our time, worked, and when they were done, they harnessed up the power of the doggone sun. They were splitting atoms. You can hear them at the university. They mumble, look, we're splitting at heaven. The diplomats, they're splitting hairs. Well, I've come to the end, and I hope you, what do you? Well, I've come to the end, and I hope, and so on, and so on, and so on. I used to do this talking atomic blues, you see, which tells you how the World War II ended.
The Japanese surrendered on the 2nd of September, 1945. A surrender ceremony was held 10 days later to much celebration. The signing of the surrender instrument was held at City Hall, and this was followed by a victory parade and celebrations on the Padang, where a Union Jack flag was raised. Singapore was once again under British rule.
When the war was over, I feel sorry for my officers. They look like they feel very sad, and when they march, I remember they don't look at you, they all look down, pitiful. That's a time I remember that.
After the surrender, the British military administration was the interim administrator of Malaya. The Singapore that they took over was in bad shape. It was crime-ridden with widespread corruption. There were housing problems, and the food situation did not improve.
Life had to start all over again. Families which were broken, were no more the same families. We had to start again from where we had left off. But of course, Singapore Cold Storage and all those shops were very quick to get back into the picture to bring in food for sale, if I may say. And they were also brought in cheap, sold cheap. And people suddenly felt, wow, now we can eat the kind of food that we used to eat before.
We went to cold storage after the war, and they were just selling a lot of rabbits, and we made rabbit stew. That was also a wonderful dish already.
The shortages continued to at least the 1950s, so people lived with shortages. And even post-war, the first few years, it got so bad that the government actually stepped in to subsidize meals for workers. there was something called the People's Kitchen, where they would organize cheap, quick meals like porridge or, very basic, rice and 2 vegetables to be sold at a few cents.
To me, it's most important the food, the good food, the nutritious food. So I eat nutritiously now. I spend most of my money buying food. It seems to scare me when I have no food. That's all. It's a scary thing which didn't leave me.
Sampai sekarang, nenek kalau dampak berperang ni, nenek tak nak tengok tau dekat TV. Mesti tutup mata gitu, nak lari lah. Pasal sedih sangat kita tengokkan orang berperang ni.
我现在最心痛就是我日本3年8个月，我为着我家里死这个这样多人，我还觉得到现在我的心里的难过，没办法。
Itulah nenek tak nak ingat lah nak, pasal nenek tahun Jepun tu, betul. Pilu tak habis-habis pilunya hati ni macam terkuris gitu. Ingat susahnya tahun Jepun ni.
World War II has been the darkest chapter in Singapore's history. As the war generation passes on, people will remember the major events of that time. But equally important are the personal accounts of anguish, faith, and the struggle for basic needs during the occupation. As these stories trickle down, we realize that it takes more than food to survive in adverse times. From the war survivors, we learn that it is blind hope and sheer willpower that sustained them.